Hi everyone, welcome to this new speed build in The Sims 4, and today I'm building a manor on the island near Brindleton Bay. I'm actually building this house for a mini-series that I would like to do on the channel, and yes, I do know that I have currently quite a few series going on and that I also don't really have that much free time to actually record videos, but I was so excited with the new stuff back that I got really inspired to the point that I built a huge house, which got me out of my comfort zone. And also, I had so many ideas of so many different storylines that it was actually kind of difficult for me to ignore them all and just say no, just because I'm really busy and I currently have so many things to do. I'm not going to do any series on this new pack. I just picked one that I actually really enjoyed, one storyline that I really liked, and I decided to work around with it. And this house is part of this new storyline. I'm not going to tell you guys too much about this new story that I came up with, because I kind of want to keep some kind of mystery for the first episode that hopefully is going to come out tomorrow. But yeah, this new pack really got me inspired. So this house has technically 5 bedrooms, even though I only furnished 3 as bedrooms. There is one that is furnished as an office room and another one that is furnished as a seance room. Because of course, I tried to put into use as many of the new items as possible in this house. And I have to say that I really like the style of the new items in the Build and Buy catalog. The only item that I didn't use, I think, in this house is the new flooring. I personally really don't like those. I don't know, I just don't find them very pretty. I don't use very often those squares that those flooring squares, wooden squares, I don't know how to call them, that we already have in the game. So I knew that I wasn't going to use those, but the sofas, the decorative items on the walls, the paintings, and as well the new tables, and I have to say that the new chairs that we got, I really like those. These for me really look like chairs that you would put in a kitchen, like an old kitchen where people usually just eat their breakfast or non-formal dinner as a family and keep the very nice chairs for the actual dining room, if that makes sense. I don't know, I really like those chairs, so I think that I'm going to be using those quite often from now on. But yeah, I'm honestly really happy and kind of proud of this house because once again, I really got out of my comfort zone. And I don't know, I really like the result. And actually, this house, I started building it on the other side, if that makes sense. Like the front of the house originally was the back of the house. And the back of the house was originally the front of the house. And what I did is that I just switched the front with the back, but I turned the back from the left to the right, if that makes any sense. Like usually this little tower with the octagonal roof used to be on the left of the house. You know, if I had just turned it from the front from the back, the little octagonal roof would have been on the left, but in this house it's actually on the right. It's just because I switched the back. I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense, but I basically started this house on the other way around, and then I decided to rebuild it, but just change a few things so that the house would actually look better for me, because from the front of the house you actually have a beautiful view of the ocean, and I was thinking that this round, this circular window would have been used to be able to see the boats coming from afar. Even though technically there's the lighthouse not far from this house, I think this house maybe used to be a house for guards or people who wanted to come here or stayed at when they were spending a lot of time at sea. But yeah, now you will pretty quickly realize that this house is quite sparsely furnished. And there's 2 reasons for that. First of all, because I was really lazy and I didn't feel like furnishing a house really heavily with a lot of little details, and I don't know, I just didn't want to do that right now. I guess this house could look a little bit better from the inside if there were a lot more little details and, details that give the house a bit more of a personality, but I just didn't feel like doing that, to be honest. And it also doesn't really look like a haunted house, even from the outside, because once again, I didn't feel like this house, when you look at it at first, you wouldn't think that this is a haunted house. Like, it's a really big mystery. It's like a normal house, but then you spend a night in here and you realize that there's weird things happening. And also, the other reason why I decided not to heavily furnish this house is because the storyline that I came up with for this new series that I really wish that I really want to start, actually, This house is supposed to be sold eventually because the family member from the Rowe family, because of course this is the Rowe residence, the family member who owned this house passed away, and the family just cannot afford to keep this house within the family. Like, it's way too complicated to keep this house in a good state because everyone lives near the city, everyone has a job, everyone has children. It's just way too much of a responsibility for everyone to keep this house in shape when usually the family just comes here during the summer or during the winter. They don't really spend the entire year in this house, so they decided to just sell it. So already a few of the furnishings have been sold and some have been removed. Some of the family members took them with them. So that also explains why the house is kind of empty, and that's why as well I didn't want to even try to add too many details. Like, some of the pictures on the walls are still here, and that's because some people still need to come and get what they want to keep from this house before it gets sold. But most of the items that the family really wanted to keep have been taken away already. Also, like I was saying, I didn't want for this house to look like a haunted house from the outside, but also from the inside. Like, I still wanted for this house to look really comfortable and cozy. And for some reason, when I think of a house that's near the ocean, or sea, near the sea, I really struggle to talk right now. I always imagine these houses inside being very bright and with really light color tones. So that's why you will see that the wallpapers I will use will be pretty light, as well as the floorings and some of the furnishings as well. I didn't want to add too many dark furniture, and I didn't want for this house to look too dark and too sad. I wanted for this house to be surprisingly haunted. Like, this is not the type of house that you would imagine to be haunted. And here I'm actually placing this ladder to go into the attic. I will place a juice fizzing machine and just a bench in the attic because I was imagining that the person who was living here just was making some juice, like illegal juice in their attic, and was hiding that in there. And having the ladder in a bedroom like that, I actually saw that in some of my old friends when I was a child. Houses, they had those ladders in some of their rooms, and I remember one who had a ladder like that in her room, and I've always thought that it was kind of creepy because you'd never know what's up there. Like, there could be spiders, there could be ghosts, there could be monsters, you don't know what's up there. But yet, there's this ladder, and it's in your bedroom, and I always thought that it was kind of creepy, so that's why I also didn't mind hiding this ladder in this bedroom. And I was imagining one of the children from the Rowe family who was spending the summer here and was sleeping in this room all by themselves, and there was this weird ladder and those weird noises coming from the attic. That must have been awful. But anyway, right now I'm just adding some of the lights outside. Once again, this house just doesn't look haunted to me, and I actually really like that about this house. And I think if you decide to place it in your own game, you will need to turn this house into a haunted house. I don't think you can place it and it will be a haunted house right away. I saved it as a haunted house, but I think there's kind of a glitch with the haunted house slot trait in the gallery. I mean, when isn't there a glitch in The Sims 4? But yeah, I think you will need to remember to turn this house into a haunted house. I also gave it some lot traits. I think I gave it the peace and quiet lot trait because I was imagining that this house, since it's on the island of Brindleton Bay, it would be very like peace and quiet. You're far away from society, you're far away from the city and from all of the noise pollution of the train, the boats. I mean, sometimes there's boats coming by or passing by, maybe floating by. Just, you hear some of those sounds, but most of the time you just hear the birds, you hear the wind, you hear the water, and that's all. So that's why I gave it the peace and quiet lot trait. And I'm actually not too sure about the second one. I think I added the great acoustic one, just because most of the rooms in this house are kind of empty. And once again, it feels weird while building, having empty rooms like that, but while playing, it's actually really enjoyable. And since with the new stuff pack, there's some specters and some ghosts that are going to appear, I wanted to have enough room for my Sims to be able to route around the little specters and not have my Sims just be like, hey, I cannot talk to that specter just because there's a couch here. So there's a lot of space for my Sims to be able to discover those specters and also for the weird cursed items that can spawn on your house and make your house even more haunted. I wanted to have enough space as well for the house to be haunted, if that makes sense. Now, the way I'm going to make this series, I think, is going to be the same way as I'm making my current Sims 4 series, which is basically me playing the game for like a couple of hours without chatting. All I will do is just record the footage and write down all of the major events that happened during me playing the game. And then I will just edit down the entire footage so that it could suit for a video that would last for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes at the most. And then I'll be making a voiceover over the entire thing, just like I'm doing with my Sims 4 series, because I feel like I can actually tell the story a bit better this way. It's definitely really time consuming because editing down 2 hours of footage is once again very time consuming and very tedious. But at the end, or actually in the end, I think I can actually tell the story a little bit better than if I was playing the game as I'm playing, I don't know, for my Sims 3 or my Sims 2 series. I've always been struggling a little with my Sims 4 series just because I always thought that what I was recording wasn't really entertaining. But this way, I feel like I can really tell you guys what I want to tell you about the Sims, and I also think that I can develop their personalities and their characters a bit more than I could be able to if I were just to be playing the game as I've been playing the game so far, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's how I'm going to be recording this series, and I've already played one night in this house, and I have to say that I'm enjoying this pack so far pretty great. What is that? I'm quite enjoying this pack so far. That's what I wanted to say. I don't know why my English is so all over the place right now, but that's alright. Also, I'm sorry for the little noise in the background. My cat is playing with one of his toys. So yeah, that's fun. Anyway, here is the dining room, and it's, I think, one of the emptiest rooms in this house, but I just didn't really know what else to place. Like, this house is huge, and I didn't want to place another plant just in the middle of the room. It just didn't make sense at all for me. And as you can see as well, the color scheme that I decided to go with is this kind of bluish greenish tone, and that was heavily inspired by the swatches of the new items that we got with this pack, because as you saw, the sofa and the armchairs were in this kind of bluish greenish tone, and you can also see this same color on the rug that I placed in the entrance area and on the table that I've placed in the entrance area. And I have to say that I love this table, and I also really like the fact that we got those kind of heavily decorated little swatches for the tablecloth actually has quite a few heavily decorated designs and some plain designs as well, like a white design and just plain colors overall, and a dark tablecloth as well, which I really like, and I think I'm going to be using this table quite often. And the chairs that I've placed in the kitchen, I love those very much. My parents used to have chairs like these, almost like these, not exactly like these, but almost like these when I was really young, and I still have one of those in my room. And I just really like those chairs. They look really old, but also really cozy for some reason for me. I guess it's because it reminds me of my childhood, but I just really like them, and I think I'm going to be using those very often from now on, if not in every single one of my builds. But yeah, now I was just working on the kitchen, and as you saw, most of the rooms are actually pretty bright. The only room that's going to be quite dark is going to be the seance room, but that's because I'm not going to be using any electricity in this room. I think, if I remember well, that I've only used candles in that room just because I thought if you were to be doing a seance in this house, or actually in this room, you didn't want to have any disturbances like electricity or, I don't know, some wireless network or something. I mean, technically everything can go through the walls, but since it's not directly inside the room, it's alright. And this is actually the room that I'm going to be working on right now, and I decided to use the new wallpaper that came with this pack, which I have to say is beautiful. I really like the color scheme, to be honest, that they came up with for the items of this pack. So this is the seance room. It's quite empty, there's only the seance table, and I'm going to be putting some decorative items like a rug, I'm also going to be using the new Dreamcatcher wall decor that I'm going to put just next to the table, so that in some ways it's protecting the people who are doing the sales. And as you saw as well, I placed a staircase that goes outside to the upstairs. I thought this was a very cool detail, and that's just because I thought this side of the house looked empty and I wanted to add some decorations but not too much, so I just decided to use a stair. And since I was thinking that this house maybe used to be an old lighthouse, maybe it was easier for people to go upstairs from the outside. And since you can go up the stairs from here, or from the outside, you can actually take a peek inside this room. But I was thinking that the people who are doing the sales were just putting some cloth on the window just to avoid people peeking inside. And you can access this room, of course, from inside the house, but I was thinking that the door most of the time was closed. And there is this door that goes outside, and I was thinking that the person who was living in this house was the one hosting the seances. Seances? I don't know how to say. It's weird actually to be pronouncing a word like that that's actually heavily inspired, or actually that comes from French. It's really strange. Anyway, the person who was living here, who was hosting the seance, was inviting some other, I don't know, witchy people or voodoo people, I don't know, who came, but to avoid any suspicion from people who were actually in the house when other people were in this house, they were just coming in from that door, which most of the time, once again, was closed, except during the nights when a seance took place. Anyway, here I'm currently working on the office area. It's actually a very cozy office. I really like the color scheme again. I love the new items, to be honest, and the colors. It really triggered a lot of inspiration for me. Also, the landscaping, as you will see pretty soon. I decided as well not to go into too much detail, just because I didn't feel like doing it. And the trick that I usually do when I don't want to do any landscaping but still want the house to look nice from the outside with some greeneries is take this bush that I basically just size up, and then I just put some of those leaf bushes, and also I use the bush that came with Outdoor Retreat with those purple flowers on it, just to add a little bit of a pop of color without it being too bright and too out there. And that way I have quite a nice landscaping, I have to say. It's not, once again, too heavily landscaped. It doesn't take too much time. I think it took me only 2 minutes to make. And then I add some darker floor paint on the ground just underneath the little bush to add some depth to the landscaping. And there you go. A quite nice landscaping that almost looked like a very nice landscape, if that makes any sense. I'm really tired and I really struggle to make this voiceover. I'm so sorry, it's all over the place. Anyway, one thing though that I forgot to put in this house, which is going to come in handy in the Let's Play, is cat items, because there's going to be a cat in this house. And I'm actually going to be removing a couple of items to place a cat tree, and as you saw in the landing area, I placed this table near the wall, how are they called? Console table, I think. And I'm actually going to be removing this table to place a cat tree, and I think this is the perfect spot for a cat tree in this house if you decide to play with your Sims and maybe your Sims have a cat, because it's not the first thing that you necessarily see when you go upstairs, and it blends in pretty well with the overall shape of the room. Now, outside, I decided to add as well some activity items, like I placed those planners that I don't think I'm going to be using them when I'll be playing in this house, just because it's not going to be the focus of the series. But in any case, just like in all of my houses, I decided to add those planner boxes. And I also placed the bird feeder, and after that, after I'm pretty much done with the entire finishing of the inside of the house, I will be going back outside and I will be placing a barbecue, and one of those barbecues that came with one of the latest update of The Sims 4, and also a table with an umbrella, a picnic table with an umbrella, and then I will be placing as well a swing set. And just because I think this house used to welcome a lot of kids from the Rowe family when family members came to spend the summer here, or the winter, especially the summer, to use the swing set. But yeah, if children came, they wanted to have some items for them to play on when they were here. Now this room that I just finished furnishing, I don't think this is a room that I would have liked to sleep in, just because of the ladder that leads to the attic, but also because it's so big and the bed is so closed in within the, you know, just close to the wall and everything. Like, I don't know, I would have been feeling so uncomfortable in this room. And here I decided to add some kind of sunroom, and at first I will be placing a flower arranging table, but then I will replace it for a candle making station, since I think in this house I decided to place here and there a few candles, and I was thinking that the person who was living here would rather not use any electricity when no one was there. Like when they were just on their own, they would rather use candles, and it would be cheaper for them to actually make their own candles. And also I was thinking that when they were hosting a seance, they wanted to use their own candles to avoid any outside influence and have a seance turn bad, if that makes sense. Like, this is their own candle, maybe they can grow some soya beans to be able to make the soy wax and then make their own candles. This way there's really no influences from the outside world. I also placed an easel outside just because I was imagining maybe an artistic sim one day came and decided to put an easel there. And it's been there ever since, and I actually wanted to have the easel be white, as if, you know, they had repainted the columns outside and maybe the fences as well, and they also repainted the easel just because it's almost a part of the house by now. And that's also because the view from this side of the house is just beautiful with the ocean, and the never-ending horizon is just really, really beautiful. Now, one thing that I've realized as I was working on this bathroom is that this is the only bathroom in this house. Like, there's 5 bedrooms, there's a huge space for the living room, dining room, for the kitchen, but there's only 1 bathroom with 1 shower, 1 toilet, and 1 bathtub. And I think if you play with multiple Sims, this might become quite a big issue in this house. But I guess you can turn one of the bedrooms, maybe the seance room, or maybe more like the office, into another bathroom. I guess that could be okay. Now here is what I think would have been the master bedroom. I tried a different color scheme just because this bed is actually one of the reward items from the painting career, and I wanted to use one of those covers that is, I think, heavily inspired, if not a copy of Van Gogh's paintings. But I just thought that the red was really nice. I didn't want to use the same swatch that I used for the wallpaper in the seance room into this bedroom, but I still wanted to use this wallpaper, and I really liked the swatch for the red, so that's why I decided to just keep the bed being red. I guess the blue swatch of this bed could have worked in this house, but I don't know, I just really like the red. And once again, this room is pretty much empty. I tried to add a bit more details because I thought that the person who was living in this house, who sadly passed away, would have been sleeping in this room, but I just didn't really know enough about who that sim was that I just decided not to place too many items in there. Also, the covered porch that you have at the front and at the back of the house, I didn't really place many things other than maybe a couple of plants and a bench at the front. But that's all, because once again, I didn't really know what to place, and I didn't really want to think too much about what to place in this house. I just wanted to build a house for my sim to live in and experience some paranormal happenings. But yeah, I'm actually really, really excited to share with you all the series that I've been working on. I honestly didn't really do much. I created 1 sim, 1 cat, and this house, and then the story just came, and I'm just so excited to talk to you all about this. So I think if everything goes well, I'll be able to upload the very first episode tomorrow. If not, it's going to be up within the next few days. But this video is almost over, so I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm so sorry that once again my voiceover was all over the place. I'm really tired. I'm trying to have my neurons connect with one another, and it's really difficult. But if you like this house, make sure to check out the description, because this is where you will find a link to the online gallery to download this house, or also all of the information to download this house on the gallery in-game. But yeah, if you really enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in my next video.